little hot in here and I'm a bit sweaty. Look at me, I'm early. I'm 2 minutes early. Wow. Alright, it's been a very hectic past like 30 minutes. But hi everyone. Welcome to Gremlin Lord Live, episode 33, Perseverance. I don't know how to reload this page I'm currently on. It's not reloading. Anyway, all of today's movies are going to be talking about the notion of perseverance. Hi, I'm going. Where are you going? I'm going to get back to my stream, since I don't have it open at the moment, because the computer decided to not allow me to reload the page. These little hairs are in my annoying way. My hair is still wet from this morning, because it's been so humid today. Sorry, I'm like ADHD. So you wrote hi Grem. It translated that to hi I'm going. For whatever reason. You notice I've changed the camera angle a little bit. I did the same thing that I did at my brother's house, which is I have the tripod to the side of the desk, and then I have the extending arm bent and then up. So it's a little different than usual. So hopefully this will allow me to maybe lean back a little bit and you won't see as much gut here. Yeah, because the camera is much closer. I have it on the bendy arm and like closer to my face. So it's less than halfway the length of the desk, where usually it's all the way back. So now you can see more of my pores. Yay! Although you get less arm movement because I'm too zoomed in. There is a big storm going on with a tornado watch yet again. So if we lose power, if we lose internet, that'll be that. Yeah, because I want to be able to lean, you know? I want to be able to lean. I can't sit upright. I mean, although my back doesn't hurt as much as it did when I was at my brother's. Yeah, it's another tornado watch. So, all right, I'm going to turn this down. I don't need to hear myself echoing as much. But yeah, I was a little behind schedule because I didn't write up 3 of the movies. I didn't write up the one yesterday, even though I watched it twice. I didn't write up the other ones this morning. I went right into watching the 4th movie this afternoon. It was like, I'm going to watch it before it gets too hot. That way I don't have to have the air conditioner on and I can actually hear the movie better. So, and then by the time I finished it and everything, I was like, all right, well, let me make dinner and all this jazz. And I was like, I'll type everything up after I eat and after I do some gaming. And then I didn't do it. It's 7 o'clock. I'm like, all right, let me get ready. And I open up the document and there's one review in it. I'm like, oh my God. I had voice memos for all of them. I just didn't have them typed. That's all. So they were ready. I just had to put it into words. That's all. I still started 2 minutes early, so I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Alright, so we have... This is the wrong thing. I'm trying to make a new window in this so I get IMDb up. So we have 4 movies to talk about that all have to deal with the human spirit and perseverance. And they are It Ends, Hacksaw Ridge, A Wrinkle in Time. Oh my God, I always do this. And Your Name. Your Name. Woo. And I saw that movie twice. I think I would know its name by now. Literally saw that movie twice. Did I cry in all of them? Good question. Yes. 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 No. Do you know which one I didn't cry in? Can you figure it out? I'm feeling I'm a little too close to the camera. It's just like a weird angle. I feel like it's making me look bulky. No, of course I cried at Wrinkle in Time. No, it ends. It ends didn't really have anything in it because the characters they didn't dive deep enough into in order to make me care about them. So what movie should we discuss first this lovely August evening? Viewer's choice, huh? I see there's 11 of you in here. Let's make it happen. I should be seeing 11 likes and 11 subscriptions. I demand it. You want A Wrinkle in Time? This is the movie, guys, not the television miniseries. Okay? I didn't realize how recent this movie was. I don't know why in my head I was thinking it was older. But it's a 2018 movie. Do I like Brazil? Of course I like Brazil. Like, that's 2 years into Trump's term. Who doesn't like Brazil, huh? So, I did not see this in theaters because, you know, it's a kid's movie. You retracted it. Oh. Yeah, I don't know why in my head I'm just thinking it's this movie from yesteryear. And it happened to me a lot with these movies. So I wanted to see it, actually. Now, mind you, this was only 8 years ago. So I was already fairly old to be wanting to see this movie. Because I was curious about the visuals of it, right? The trailer makes it look like this sweeping visual epic, and I think it's weird that Oprah's in it, because Oprah's not in a lot of stuff. Hello, Alejandra. Alejandra Gonzalez. But I didn't go see it because probably for work or probably for just because I know it's a kid's movie. And I think this might be the first Disney movie I reviewed. Did she pay to get it made? She might have helped pay for it. I actually don't know. I mean, it was Disney, Whitaker Entertainment, and Legend 3D. I don't know what those companies are specifically. But what's Oprah's company? Doesn't Oprah have a company? I feel like Oprah has a company. This is like the smallest website I've ever seen in my life. It does have a lot of good actors in it. Legend 3D actually worked on Spider-Man Homecoming and Stranger Things, and Spider-Man Far From Home, and Yellowstone, Avengers Endgame, The Amazing Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2, X-Men Apocalypse, Top Gun. So I'm not quite sure if that's an Oprah company either. So, Jonah. This is directed by Ava DuVernay, though, who directed and wrote Origin, which was one of the Regal Mystery Movies well over a year ago that I really, really liked. And she directed this, even though she's never directed a big, huge fantasy epic film before. But she was chosen to direct this. didn't really pay attention to the box office. I knew that it flopped though. Like I knew that. I bought. Oh, it's right here. By the way, I have it physically. I got this at Five Below. Okay. And it's supposed to be brand new. Blu-ray, DVD, digital code. But when I opened it, no digital code. Because they sold this for $5 at Five Below. And I'm pretty sure they open them all, take out the digital codes, and then repackage them. Not because, like, it's a corporate thing or it's a Disney thing. Because $5 is like a wholesale price. Oh no, I asked about it because I purchased things from there before and I read online people talking about how they don't have the digital codes in them. And I asked the employee and she was just like, I don't know. I'm like, thanks for all of your help. But yeah, so it doesn't have the digital codes. I do not have this digitally. But it does have this that clasp that old DVD cases used to have. You know? Not that it needs it, but it has that little clasp. Which is weird. But anyway, let's focus on the review for Disney. My notes are all jumbled, so it's like really weird. But anyway, so it's a story about a family. You have the dad named Mr. Murray, who's played by Chris Pine, and his wife, Mrs. Murray, who is played by Gugu Mbatha-Raw, who I probably butchered that name, which I apologize, but that's his wife. And they're an interracial couple, which was new, because in the book they're not interracial. And they have a daughter, who's played by Storm Reed, named Meg. And they end up adopting another child, played by Derek McCabe, and his name is Charles Wallace. So basically, both of these parents are very smart, highly intelligent scientists. And the mom is more focused on small things like atoms and electrons and that kind of stuff. And the dad is more focused on big ideas. But they work together, and their whole thing is like time travel / space travel to like get to other parts of the universe. And they do the same idea that you've seen in other movies, especially like Event Horizon, where you fold space to travel through it. It always makes me think of that scene in Event Horizon where they fold a piece of paper and stick a pencil through it. That's basically what the idea of this movie is. And that's the wrinkle in time. When they said it in one of the deleted scenes, I did a whole Leonardo DiCaprio. Oh, that's the name of the movie. Wrinkle in Time. C. It translated your C to and instead of yes, which is even weirder now. I don't know what it's doing. Gotcha. There's a little gnat that's been flying around in here, and I got it. Rub that on my pants. But anyway, so that's their idea, is this wrinkle in time, this time travel thing. And basically what happens is that the dad figures the odd names. No, the only name that annoyed me is Charles Wallace, because the little boy's name is Charles Wallace, first name, middle name, and they called him Charles Wallace every single time they addressed him. Charles Wallace, what are you doing? Charles Wallace, would you like dinner? Charles Wallace, where are you? Charles Wallace. Like, I can't even say it. I'm getting all marble mouth trying to say it. Like, they're searching for him, and they're all saying Charles Wallace, Charles Wallace. It's so It's so aggravatingly annoying. At first, I thought it was really cute because he's a very precocious, highly intelligent kid who's very aware of himself and his surroundings and stuff. So it made sense to call him Charles Wallace, right? It's like Sheldon, right? It made sense. But then the fact that they only exclusively called him Charles Wallace, I was like, oh my God. Can we move on from, can we call him Chuck or Chaz or just drop the Wallace? Like, we don't have to call him Charles Wallace every time we say his name. Ugh. The little kid was cute and adorable and everything, but it was just like, I don't need to hear his name like that. But back to the synopsis. So the dad ends up discovering how to do it, and he travels through space and time, and he's missing for 4 years. Like, he literally leaves the family right when they have the second child, or adopt the second child. Then the child's like 1 year old. And he's gone. And like, the little girl gets picked on for it, and she's like always being teased for her hair and her appearance, because I guess, like, there's like some weird microaggressions here for her being like biracial, but they don't really touch upon it. It's just kind of like inferred that that's why she's being picked on. I don't know. Probably because it's a Disney movie, they're not going to go too into it. Yeah, there was definitely some racial undertones in there, for sure. At least I took that, but I'm also white, so take my opinion with a grain of salt, because I am not part of an interracial relationship or interracial children. I'm just white. I'm a white man, damn it. But basically, what happens then is that these 3 women start appearing to them. The first one to appear is Mrs. Whatsit. W-H-A-T-S-I-T. Whatsit. That's Reese Witherspoon's character. And at first I thought she was kind of like a little too campy. But then she actually became really funny, and I liked her. I liked her quite a bit. She had quite a bit of comic relief. And then we meet Mrs. Who, which is Mindy Kaling, and she only speaks in like quotes, other people's quotes, and then she'll tell you who said it and their nationality, which is kind of weird. I'm sure it was probably more literary focused in the book. That's kind of like an educational thing. But she does some pop culture references in this. Like, she references Chris Tucker. You know how he says damn, like in Friday, damn. Well, she says, dang, Tucker, American. It's like, and I was like, oh. She's not going to curse, of course. And then, of course, you have Miss Oprah Winfrey, who plays Mrs. Witch. Oh, they're all Misses. I mean, they're all married, because I don't think they are. And it's Witch, W-H-I-C-H, not Witch, W-I-T-C-H. So she's not a witch. She's Witch, like which way do we go? And the very first few times we see her, Oprah is like 15 to 20 foot tall. And I'm like, this is such an Oprah thing. Like, Oprah's like, I'm going to be the biggest person. Now, in the book, she might be that big. I don't know. Never read the book because I'm not a child. But it was very much like on point for Oprah's personality, that she is the biggest character in the movie. She does come down to normal size eventually, but in the first like 15, 20 minutes, she's huge. And at one point, she's like 3 stories tall. Like, she's huge. Yeah. What camera is this? Who is this fat cow on my show? Look at me, I'm sitting here like a teapot. See me? I don't know why this is what my hand wants to do. It's a weird thing. It's like that picture that I posted in Discord today of my one hand and the other one holding my arm. Like that's just like a natural thing. I don't know. It's just like where else am I gonna put it? I think it's more of a shoulder thing. That it feels better on my shoulder. Sassy bitch. Isn't it? I didn't say the word, so you can't get me in trouble for that. You can't get me in trouble. Yeah, there's a little twink gram there. Anyway. So. Now the movie is really pretty. So it is exactly what I thought it would be. It's very gorgeous. There's a lot of fun colors and visuals, and their outfits are fun and cool and very intricate. They have fun hairstyles. They change their outfits a lot. At least the women do. The, you know, Miss Witch, Mrs. Who, and Mrs. What's-It. There is a little weird scene where Reese Witherspoon's character transforms, and she's like spinning around to change her outfit. But I guess at some point she's naked. They don't show it, obviously. But like the boy, I didn't even mention the boy, the other boy character. He says, or somebody says, like, we don't get naked when we change, or we don't get naked in front of strangers. It is a really good looking movie. I mean, obviously some of the CGI doesn't hold up as much, but you can tell that this was before they started like really cheaping out on the CGI and like using those like HD TV things and just like lighting characters in front of HD TVs. Like obviously some of the stuff looks fake, but you can tell that more of it is practical than other more recent Disney products. So it is a large budget movie. It is $100 million movie. It only made a $132 million movie. So it probably didn't even break even when you consider advertising budget and all that. So huge failure. Hour 49. It is rated PG. But yeah, I really like the visuals of it. It's very much like a book. It feels like a book. But the problem is that it feels too overstuffed. Because like, you know, they go to this one location and it's really gorgeous. We have some stuff that goes on here and it's fun, fantastic. Then we go to another location, which is kind of like a different look, and it's like crystals and stuff, and Zach Galifianakis is there. But he's okay. He's not Zach Galifianakis as you know him. He's very reserved in this, and he's good. He has some of his isms in there, but he's fine overall. But then they show like quick visuals of other places that we don't go. Like they talk about places that her dad went to because they're trying to find her dad. And if this was a mini series, I would have expected them to travel to each of those places, talk to locals and find clues and stuff like that so they get to the final location. But because this is a movie, a single movie, they just, oh, he went here. Oh, he went there. Oh, he went here. And then they're like, oh, but now he's over there. So let's just skip all those places in the middle and just go to the final location. And it's like, oh, okay. I mean, it was a mini series. Like the old version was like a mini special series or something. But I feel like this would have been a good mini series for Disney. I mean, if they did it now, it'd probably be full of really bad CGI and, you know, cheaper looking visuals and stuff. And it have to be recast, so. Michael Pena is also in this. He's a raging Scientologist. I barely recognized him in it when he showed up. Not because he looked very different, he just had like a really fun facial hair and he didn't really look like himself. Oh, the way that they time travel or space travel is called tethering. It's like finding the Tesseract, and you travel through it. Michael Pena? Michael Pena is a raging Scientologist. Yeah, massive. Massive. Your people, man. Your friends. Your California lifestyle. I like how in my review it does say Charles Wallace all the time. Really annoying. Put me in a box. Well, I just was gonna say, you're people, you attractive people. But never mind. I will remove you from the box. Never mind. Prince is no longer part of the box of attractive people. Never mind. Okay? I don't want to offend you by putting you in a box. I won't do it. I won't do it. Let's see. I was disappointed in the Big Bad. So the Big Bad is called The It. Technically it has a different name, but they call it The It. It's like the darkness that exists that corrupts people and makes people do bad things, like road rage or how she's teased. Yeah, it. And the It is located in Kamazats, which is another bug in here. Kamazats, which is like a Mayan god. I think it's like the bat creature. I think it's in Smite. I want to say it's like a bat. I'm not sure. But that's like the darkness planet or something where they go. But David Oyelowo, I don't know how to say it. Whenever I hear it, I know it, but I can't say it myself. He played Martin Luther King in Selma. But he plays the voice of the darkness, or it, which, because he doesn't have an actual form. It's basically kind of like, it looks like rocky brain neurons, which I thought was really kind of boring. Again, might be in the book that way, don't know for sure. But I really wanted to see like a figure, like a face or something that shows us the evilness, but you don't get that, unfortunately. Yeah, like they're there and, being terrorized by the voice and it like possesses someone. It's a whole thing. I can't believe I didn't say this yet. There is another boy named Levi Miller. He plays Calvin. He's like kind of like a cool kid in school who befriends Meg. He's kind of like interested in her. And he tells her multiple times, twice, that he likes her hair. And of course she's like, I hate my hair, because she doesn't like herself. She's very depressed kind of thing since her dad disappeared. But again, it felt really weird because he's a little white boy. And it maybe I'm just a weirdo and I'm putting in like weird undertones of racial stuff where he's just like, how like old ladies like, oh, your hair's so lovely, let me touch your hair, and they go touching like black women's hair and I'm like, don't touch my hair. He didn't try to touch her hair, but he says, I like your hair more than once. Because you can tell that he likes her, but she can't take a compliment because she has very low self-esteem. Yeah, I bet you would have. I wouldn't be telling a woman that I like her hair. Thank you. But the weird thing about him, so obviously these are all kids. He's a very skinny kid. And his outfit that they put on him, it's your birthday. I don't remember what my birthday is. Unless you mean birthday. than happy birthday to Chambuka Gestefa. You can celebrate your birthday by liking my stream and subscribing to my channel. That's the perfect birthday present for you and for me. Let's celebrate your birthday together by watching my channel. Oh, but his outfits. So he's wearing like a varsity type of jacket and a t-shirt. His jacket comes off at some point, and he's wearing like a t-shirt. But it's so tight. Like, uncomfortably tight. Like, it's so tight that it has like lines in it because it's so tight on his body. And then they get wet in a situation, and he takes that off, and he has another shirt underneath, which is just as tight. And it's just weird. Because from a costuming aspect, everybody else's outfits, like the women's outfits, are all very elaborate and everything, and he's just there in a gray t-shirt that is obviously too small for him. I don't know if he had a growth spurt or something and they couldn't have time to get a new wardrobe. They couldn't go to Walmart and buy a new t-shirt. But it was like, you know, like so tight that you get those, like these lines, you know, like this, because it's just so tight on his body. And he's this tiny little guy. So it looks really weird because he probably weighs like 115 pounds wearing this tight shirt. And, I don't know. Like I said, it's probably weird that I noticed that. It was very noticeable in the movie because everybody, all the other crazy great costuming, and then you just have him in this t-shirt that looks like it belongs to Charles Wallace and not him. Trying to find. There it is. There is a song in this movie that is performed. There's a lot of music in this movie. It's a Sia song. It is random, but it was very noticeable. Chloe and Haley. That's like Chloe Bailey, right? And her sister. Kalani had a song. There it is. Flower of the Universe, this Sade song. Some of the characters sing it. It plays over the credits. I was like, is this Sade? Like, I like Sade, so. Oh, is she? Makes sense. DJ Khaled has a song. Demi Lovato's in it. Yeah, I just recognized the Sade song, and I was just like, this is Sade. I know her. Because she has that very distinctive voice, you know? That sultry, smooth operator type of voice. Anyway, so the It tries to tempt Meg, which is Storm Reed. Yeah. Okay, so did you look up a picture of it? It just looks really odd. Like, it's a very tight shirt. So the It tries to tempt Reed to join it and to send a replacement version of her back to Earth. And the replacement version is the perfect version of her. Right? It's too tight. Like, if I as a kid would be so uncomfortable in that shirt. Even if I was skinny as him, it would just be like in your armpits and just like so tight. Plus it creates a weird silhouette because your top is really tight, but then your pants are a bit baggier. So it's weird. Anyway, back to what I was trying to say. So they're talking about the perfect version of her. right? And they show like a clone or whatever of her. And, you know, she's dressed in a more fashionable way. But her hair, instead of being the curly hair that she has, it's completely straightened. And it gave another feeling of like another microaggression against her for being biracial. But again, that could just be her hang up about being biracial, which they don't include in the movie. Like, she doesn't like her curly hair. So she wants the straight, good hair, white people looking hair. And that's her perfect version of herself. Which is weird because her mom has curly hair and is beautiful. Yeah, I feel like they probably did have it in there and they probably cut it or something for Disney reasons. It's not in the book because, like I said, in the book they're white. I mean, maybe the little girl has curly hair in the book. I don't know. But I feel like if you're gonna make that change and have that in the movie, then give us a little bit more with it. You could have cut out a couple of the Charles Wallace names repeating and gave us a little bit more backstory on that. In my humble opinion. Apparently the author of this book is Christian, and that explains a lot of the morality that she has in the book. But I'll be honest, it wasn't like overtly in your face with the morals. And I think the morals were good, you know, believe in yourself, love yourself, see the best in people, treat others kindly, you know, all generic, all the type of stuff that Christians say that they're into but don't actually do. All that good stuff. That's some of the stuff that made me tear up because, you know, she hates herself and all that jazz. And it's like, honey, it doesn't get better. And her reunion with Chris Pine was very cute and very sweet. You know, then they're both like, Oh yeah, I'm sure the book is probably more. Because, I mean, even like Lion, Witch, and the Wardrobe is Christian. Aslan literally represents Jesus. So, same thing. And because Aslan is killed, and then he revives or resurrects. Jesus. Anyway, so let's rate Disney's A Wrinkle in Time, which I believe is the first Disney movie I've done. I could be wrong, but I really can't think of another Disney movie that I have reviewed. Because a lot of Disney movies are kid movies. Maybe the exception of like superhero movies that Disney now owns. Maybe the exception of that. There is this little hair, this baby hair that is like dangling on my neck. It is like annoying me. Anyway, A Wrinkle in Time. Visually, really enjoyed it. Right? I can't think of any Disney movies either, aside from like a superhero movie, like Guardians of the Galaxy, which is owned by Disney. But I wouldn't call it a Disney movie in my head. This is Disney's A Wrinkle in Time. I'll put it right here so you can hide my chins. Visually, I like the visuals. The movie felt overstuffed. I hated the Charles Wallace stuff. The bad guy was pretty disappointing since we don't actually have a bad guy. It's just a bad idea. It's me. Hi. I'm... Vetter, you missed my review of your favorite movie, Disney's A Wrinkle in Time. Charles Wallace. I know this is high in your lists. It's in your top 4 in Letterboxd. I know it is. You bought every copy at Five Below. I know, you're going to have to rewatch the VOD, I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Vetter's a huge Oprah fan. Anything with Oprah in it, he creams his jeans. He loves Oprah. See, there she is. She has a very bedazzled eyebrows the whole time, too. He's an Oprah fan. I'm going to give this movie a 6. Maybe a 6.5. Oprah fever. Like, I enjoy, like, the idea of the story, but I don't think it was executed as well as it should have been. And, like, there's some really interesting ideas in this movie. There's, like, a suburbia town where all the kids are bouncing the balls together. It's very cookie cutter, very eerie, like, very back rooms looking. But then nothing really happens with it. And it's like, like, that's such a cool visual, and you do nothing with it. Like, very Stepford Wives type of situation. And the woman's really menacing. And again, it probably in the book, it's probably elaborated more on. So I'm thinking, like, I think a 6. God, his shirt's even tight in the picture. It's even tight in the picture. But they probably airbrushed the lines out of it. Charles Wallace. So, A Wrinkle in Time, I believe it's my first Disney review ever. 6 out of 10. If you disagree with that's you, I'm sorry. Oops. So, continuing along our journey, it's standing at a 4.3 on IMDb, so I'm being much more generous. Space opera, The Motionless Picture. What am I watching? Horrible. Totally don't get all the hate. Horrible. I like this version, having not seen the other. Anyway, so what should be next? We got Hacksaw Ridge. It ends. And Your Name. If I could remember Your Name, I'd be dangerous. You want Your Name? Anybody else want Your Name? Prince doesn't just get to decide for the whole stream, guys. Just kidding. Yes, he does. It's actually Your Name, period. It's a 2016 movie. It doesn't seem to have a rating. Seeing it at 8.4 on IMDb. I'm looking for the time because the time says, maybe it was on my phone. It gave 2 different times for the English version and for the Japanese version, which I thought was interesting, but probably because Japanese has more colloquialisms. So, like, if you're saying, like, phrases that they can say that are much shorter than translating it directly into English, where English would require a much longer sentence. Pronounce the names? Yeah. So I can get flagged for hate crimes. Actually, the boy's name is Taki. Like the chip. But he is Ruinosuke Kamiki. And Mitsuha, which is the girl, she's played by Moni Kamishirashi. Snap in your face. 2 teenagers, a city boy in Tokyo and a girl in rural Japan, mysteriously begin swapping bodies, forging a connection that sends them searching for one another. It says it's available on Disney. Fail to open page. Cool. So it might be available on Disney Plus or Hulu. It says Disney Plus, Hulu, HBO Max. It is. I think it might be HBO Max that's on, not Disney. I think it's part of that Disney bundle, and that's why they're saying it's on Disney. It's also playing in theaters right now for its 10th anniversary in 4K HD. So, I went into this movie knowing nothing about it. I read the description. Did not watch a trailer. Just went into it on a whim because I was like, why not? Why not? I did see it in Japanese first, and then the next day I saw it in English. And I think I liked it more in Japanese because I feel like I saw it in Japanese because I feel like that's the emotion that the director wanted in the first place. Right? That's what the director wants because that is how it's made. And English dubs can be good, can also be bad. Now this is not what's a Miyazaki movie where they have all these American celebrities doing the voices, right? Like Mark Hamill and Robert Pattinson, William Dafoe. There's no American cast for this movie. And when I click on the cast listing, it doesn't actually show me. Oh, here it is. Like, there's no American names in there at all. So I'm maybe assuming that the Japanese voice actors did the English voice acting as well. Because there's no other listings for the characters being played by other people. So. But it's fine. But I wanted to see it in English because I feel like I don't have to read subtitles now. So I can really look at the visuals and really absorb what I'm seeing. They did not what? They did not do the English voices too? And who played the English voices? Stephanie Shea. Stephanie Shea? Yeah, she's not even listed in the cast. Maybe she's in the full cast. Damn. Little Matt. I don't see her. Maybe there's a different, like, IMDb page for the English version. I don't know. Usually they just have them there together. I'm just not seeing those names on this, in this full casting list. So, I didn't think it would make much sense for the Japanese actors to be able to play the English versions, accent-wise. But yeah, as I said, maybe they have a different page. But like in other movies, like The Boy and the Heron, it has both. It'll say like, you know, Japanese actor played whatever, and then it'll say like Rob Pattinson played this character later on. So I don't know. I don't know. Sorry. And then in the credits are still in Japanese, so they didn't really show you anything different. It does show you the bottom of the thing. It'll say like so and so played this character, like in English, like a subtitle, while the rest of the credits keep going. But I didn't really pay much attention. But what happens in the movie is exactly what you would think would happen when a boy and a girl changes bodies. A teenage boy, and I'm assuming she's still a teenager. She's not in high school, but she's also in very rural Japan. Oh no, she's in school. I'm sorry. She is in school. She is in high school. I don't know how I just forgot that entire plot point. So it's funny because they change places. He wakes up in a woman's body, a girl's body, and the first thing he does is this. He's like, wow, they're so lifelike. These are so realistic. Like, he thinks he's dreaming. And, like, her younger sister comes in to wake her up. And it shows the camera angle from the younger sister's point of view. And it's just, like, just rubbing all over himself. She's like, why are you touching your boobies? And it's just, it's cracking me up. But it happens like multiple mornings because they switch like every other day or something. And of course, she's embarrassed because she's sitting there and she's like, it feels like something is down there, and the camera angle is like looking up at her, and she slowly reaches down and touches it, and she goes, you know, turns all red in the face, and then she has to go to the bathroom, and she's just like super embarrassed to touch his downstairs bonanza. So it was really funny in that whole body switch thing, yeah. Although it was a little weird when I saw the English version with two other dudes watching an anime girl, you know, do a little bit of that. Because we're just sitting there, we're all sitting separately. And we're like, I'm just like thinking to myself that all these people are watching this, just like me. Did I what? Did I laugh? I did laugh. I didn't laugh, right? Oh, it's like I was like, all we need is like an employee to come in at that very moment, look up at the screen, and then look at the seats and just see three dudes sitting here watching an anime girl in her pajamas. Oh, it's cracking me up. But man. But yeah, so she lives out in rural Japan, and her mother passed away. Her dad and her mom were part of the Shinto religion, and they maintained the shrine with her grandmother. When the mother passed away, the dad kind of shunned the religion now, and he went into politics. And basically, the kids were raised by their grandmother. And he's estranged from his children. So now she does the rituals and all this stuff. And like one of it is making this certain type of sake, which involves her chewing it up and spitting it out. And then it ferments with your saliva and stuff. And then you offer that to the gods. So, yay Japan. Which I'm guessing is part of the Shinto religion. But anyway. But she longs to go to Tokyo. Because she lives in this rural town where there's like two bars, but there's like no cafe. And, you know, she starts having these dreams where she's in this boy's body. And so she's going to cafes and seeing the sights and doing all this cool stuff. And then he's having dreams where he's in her body and like showing up the boys in basketball, and they're getting all embarrassed and red-faced because, you know, she's bouncing up and down while playing basketball, which is very unladylike. And then he has a really bad temper, which he has as her. So it's very much like a difference of personalities. And she makes him seem very feminine. And she uses the wrong pronouns, which was funny in Japanese, not funny in English, because it was more confusing in English. Because she's trying to say like, oh, you know, a girl in Tokyo gets distracted by a lot of things, right? She's talking about herself, but she's the boy. But the subtitles in Japanese say like, you know, uses feminine articles of whatever. because then the friends are like, huh? And then she redoes it to be boys. But in English, when she just says a girl, and then the friends go, huh? And it's not as funny to me. Yeah, it came off more awkward than funny. It didn't make as much sense because the sentence was like a girl in Tokyo doesn't sound like something somebody would say in English, and that was the weird thing. Because usually there's like a beginning part, well, you know what they say, a girl in Tokyo, like that would make more sense, but they didn't have all that beginning stuff. So, yeah, it's. I thought it was funny. It's very beautiful, obviously. This movie is downright gorgeous. If this is in 4K, I don't know if that makes a difference since the movie's only 10 years old, but it blends hand-drawn animation with computer-generated animation very seamlessly. A lot of the time, I mean, like the cars are computerized, but it's really hard to even tell because they're just blended so well, and the cars are driving on the hand-painted backgrounds, and it's really, really good looking. One of the best looking movies I've seen. I mean, I don't watch a lot of cartoons, but it is insanely beautiful. There is a twist in there that I wasn't expecting, that I don't know if was obvious to other people, but I wasn't expecting. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Prince and I, we can talk about it in private, but I'm not going to say it here. Which literally had me like, I just sat there with my mouth open. I was like, because I was just so consumed by the story and the visuals and everything that I wasn't even thinking about like stuff. Like I wasn't thinking deeply into the story. That sounds weird. Deeply into what could happen in the story. I'm in the story, but I wasn't thinking about outside of that. I'm just very in the moment. And then when it happened, I was like, oh, no. You don't, okay, but maybe you don't remember. I can tell you after. That's no problem. So then, of course, they try to meet up with each other, and their memories like fade. They don't remember each other's names. I mean, you're not going to go to Tokyo and be able to find one person out of millions of people, you know? And it's this whole thing where they're like connected, but not connected, and it's very like, it's not romantic in the beginning and stuff. It does become romantic though, but it's very touching. I did cry. And like the whole like last 15 minutes is like teetering. Yeah, that's why it's Call Your Name. It's like teetering on an ending. And there's like not false endings, but there's like little things where it feels like this could be it. And I'm like, no, this can't be it. I need a happier solution. This can't be the end of the movie. I need something happier. I'm just sitting there like, no, you better have something happier. And it just like draws it out, not in a negative way, but I'm just like, oh my god, if you don't make me smile, I'm gonna be so pissed. I won't tell you if it has a happy ending or not, but I think you can probably infer. Ooh. This movie has a really big obsession with food. And I've actually seen TikToks of this movie in the past. And the food is like so expertly drawn. Like there's a part where the character cracks an egg and it's like clear, like eggs are, and then it turns white as it's cooking. Like the food looks great and delicious throughout the movie. And whenever the characters are writing, it looks so good. Like the character draws, one of the characters draw in the movie, and the way that they draw, it looks like sketching and it looks like pencil on paper. It is really pretty food. But it really looks like they are sketching on the paper, and the teacher's like writing on the chalkboard, and it really looks like, I know it's really weird to obsess over it. It was just done really, really well. It stood out to me. I have a lot of weird obsessions in this stream here. But the perseverance of the two main characters, who are determined to find each other and determined to solve this tragedy that occurs, is why it fits our theme for this evening. They're persevering through these struggles. Oh yeah, I mean, I don't know how much of that was like computer animated as opposed to hand-drawn animation, but 100% looked great. This movie was a very successful film. It's actually, it had a $370 million or million yen budget, which I don't know how much that. Okay. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? All right. 370 yen to USD. A $2.3 million. Yeah. That seems very, very low. $370 yen to $2.3 million. Anyway, it made over $400 million American. I don't know why it's some of it's in yen and some of it's in American dollars. Yes, perseverance is the theme. We got to make sure we talk about the themes. But it was highly successful. It's one of the most successful animated films from Japan that is not a Miyazaki film. So, you know, like Howl's Moving Castle and all that jazz. Kiki's Delivery Service. Would 100% recommend the movie. I've already recommended it to Better. I did like the Japanese version more. When I was watching the English version, because you still have to read subtitles, like when they're reading papers, it's all in Japanese, or when they're looking at a sign, it's in Japanese. So you still have to read subtitles. And I actually found that a bit more confusing because I'd be like, oh yeah. Like I'd have to look for the subtitle for what they're looking at. And a lot of times they're using white font on top of white backgrounds, and it's kind of hard to follow. Whereas when it was all Japanese, I was ready because I was reading everything. And like I said, the dub is fine. It just, I feel like it loses some of that oomph of reading it in the Japanese. Or the purposeful Japanese translation. And I felt the same way when I saw The Boy and the Heron as well, when I saw that in English and Japanese. Like, it was like, they changed some words, which kind of changes the tone a bit, so it fits the English language. I don't know, not everybody wants to read, and not everybody is into subtitles, especially in foreign languages, so. And that's fine. You don't have to be, okay? You can watch it in English. You can watch it in American. But yeah, I really liked it. I kind of wonder if the other two guys liked it in my movie theater or not. The one guy was definitely like a kid, like a minor, teenager. I got in the theater, he was sitting all the way at the top, had his feet on the back of the seat. Really? Is it because you think I'm lazy, Prince? You think it's because I'm lazy and I don't read? You think I'm stupid? have a bachelor's degree, sir. I took 5 years of German, sir. I took 2 semesters of Spanish, sir. Okay? I am highly intelligent, thank you. Actually, I was kind of curious, because I feel like you would think I would enjoy it in its original form more, because that's the way the director intended. I think that would make more sense for me. Now you lost where I was going with that. Oh, but yeah, so he's like obviously like a kid, and then the other guy who came in after the movie started is somebody who I've seen movies with in the past. He's still younger than me, but he's definitely like an adult and everything because he's in R-rated movies, and he kind of walks like Shrek. I've never spoken to him, but it's just interesting to see the same people, and I wonder if they see me and they're like, oh, it's that guy again. You know, oh, it's that guy with the mask. Because I wear my mask in the movies. Because sometimes our movie theater smells, and I don't want to smell it. Right? I bet you they do. I feel like I'm a pretty distinct-ish looking white guy. I know a lot of white people look the same, but I feel like with my hair's down and a mask on, it's very... Because, like, there's nobody else wearing masks in the movie theater. So... feel like... I'm pretty recognizable. But they don't say anything, so... Oh, I'm sure they do. 100%. Yeah, it's that loser guy who's always in the movies alone. That weirdo with the long hair and the mask. He's back at he's seeing his 3rd movie this week. Alone. Actually, if I go to the movies Friday, it will be my 3rd movie. Yeah, who never buys food. He only gets his free birthday popcorn, which he gives away to people. Alright. Rating, please. Rating for your name. Rating for your name. Period. Is there anything I didn't like about this movie? I did find a lot of the time jumps to be a bit confusing. Because they talk about, like, oh, yesterday you weren't yourself to one of the characters because, like, they were the opposite character the previous day. But then we don't see that day until later. And they're showing, like, the Japanese phone calendars. And, like, I guess I wasn't paying enough attention to it. It's, like, September 12th, but then it flips back and it's September 10th. I almost said September 11th, never forget. And I guess, like, that just kind of threw me off a bit. And then, like, they've replayed some of the days, but in a different way. I don't know. I found that to be a little confusing. But really, there's not a lot that I didn't like. I mean, the attention to detail with the animation and, like, showing people's walks of life, like showing the town as a living, breathing thing. Like, characters are taking their trash out, they're walking their dog. Like, it's very... There's no wasted space, there's no wasted animation, there's no wasted cinematography. Like, it's very much a living, breathing thing. And I really did enjoy that. Some of the supporting voice actors I didn't really care for. Mostly the adult men, I felt like, were not really well performed, or were kind of flat. Like her dad, and the other guy's dad. Just kind of like, eh. But anyway, I am leaning on between an 8 and an 8.5. I mean, it could even be like a 9, to be honest. I mean, I'm not like... Even when I watched it in English, I was still confused by some of the time jump stuff. And that might just be a skill issue for me. I was also very hungry when I saw it the second time. I probably had really low blood sugar since I didn't eat since like 7 o'clock that morning. But I did really enjoy it. It is available on Blu-ray. I mean, I'm assuming it'll be available at 4K at some point, since there's a 4K release. So I know I kind of dozed off a little bit here and there when I was watching it the second time, but only because I'm pretty sure I was just tired from getting up at 6 a.m. and then being really hungry and thirsty. I had nothing to drink either. I meant to get a drink from the water fountain, but I didn't. I did not. Probably dehydrated as well. Need some sugar, honey. But yeah, there we go. Your Name. 8, 8.5, maybe even a 9. I really did enjoy it. Which leaves us with 2 movies. We're going a little slower this time. We have Hacksaw Ridge and It Ends, which was the Regal Mystery Movie on Monday. Any preferences from the peanut gallery in the audience? I see that there may be 4 people here. You guys all have a vote. You have a choice here today. You don't care about Hacksaw Ridge, huh? I figured that'd be the one you don't care about. It's Hacksaw Ridge, because it's a war movie. I figured. It Ends was the Regal Mystery Movie this past Monday, which is August 17th. It is rated R. It is only an hour and 29 minutes long, which is actually surprising because I thought it was a lot longer. And it releases tomorrow. Now, technically, this movie was available last year in 2025 on Letterboxd for a week or so for rental. It was one of those movies that was at the festivals and stuff, but wasn't picked up by a studio for distribution. But I guess it got a lot of word of mouth when it was on rental, which means you could probably find a copy of it online. And it got picked up by Neon for distribution. But that annoys me, because that means this movie's already out. And it's supposed to be a new movie. But I guess because it's not theatrically released yet, it's considered new. Now I'm going to give you the description that IMDb has that is not accurate in my opinion. Friends on a late-night food run become trapped on an infinite highway with otherworldly terrors lurking beyond. Confined in their Jeep Cherokee, they must decide whether to accept their fate or attempt to escape. Why is that an incorrect description? Let me tell you the ways. So, technically they're not on a food run. They are getting out of college or moving away to college or something. And they're going to get food, but they're actually helping one of the kids, one of the other people, move. So they loaded up a U-Haul, and somebody else is driving that. We don't know who's driving that. And then they're in the Jeep Cherokee, taking a little road trip while they go take him to where he needs to go. And they're following their GPS. They get on a road, And they're driving, and they're driving, and they're having conversations and stuff. And the driver is like, kind of like, well, did we miss that turn? I'm like, no, it just says keep driving. And he gets really annoyed because he's like, I must have missed that turn. So he turns around and goes back the way they came. And when he gets there, the road just ends in woods. So you can't drive any further. This is not a spoiler, by the way. So they turn around again and they're driving and they just keep driving. Now, this was the Regal Mystery Movie Horror Edition, which is woefully inappropriately labeled. This is not a horror movie, and I wouldn't even say it's an existential horror movie either. So what happens here is that these 4 young people are in this Jeep Cherokee, and they just have to keep driving. The Jeep never runs out of gas, but it is an older Jeep, so they do keep it running because if they turn it off, they might not be able to get it back on because it's not a new car. It's not in great shape. But it never runs out of gas. They never get tired. They never get thirsty. They never get hungry. It's like they're kind of like in a stasis, if you will, where they're just kind of existing. And they're driving. But when they stop the car, these otherworldly terrors come out of the woods to attack them. And that was the only aspect of this movie that would be scary. But if I'm being honest, it's not scary, for one. And 2, these aren't otherworldly terrors. I won't tell you what they are, but this is not some like cosmic Lovecraftian horror film. And that is the only thing that's scary in the entire movie, is in those first 20 minutes. The rest of the movie is them driving. Because we find out what this otherworldly thing is, and that explains why. This movie's at a 5.6. It was much, much higher earlier this week. That's funny. Anyway. Now, I kind of wish they advertised this as a drama or something like that, because I enjoy the dialogue. I actually like all the characters. I thought they had really good chemistry with each other. So it's 3 boys and a girl. You have kind of like he looks kind of like a jock kind of guy. There is something out there in the woods, yes. But it's nothing that's scary. It's scary when it's introduced because of how it's introduced. Okay? It's introduced as a jump scare scary. But literally, once they show us what it is, it's no longer scary. I mean, I can tell you what it is off stream if you want me to, but it's not scary whatsoever for the rest of the movie. So, it's very much explained very quickly as to why it's out there. And it's definitely not otherworldly. So, false advertising, in my opinion. So you have the guy who's driving, who is, I believe he's Tyler. It's Tyler, played by Mitchell Cole. Who I don't recognize any of these actors. Tyler is kind of like okay, I will. He's kind of like a more of a blue collar kind of guy, you know. He went to school too, but he does HVAC, and they're basically just talking about their lives and what they plan on doing. And he's like, well, I'm just going to keep working in HVAC, you know, get a house, you know, just kind of live that kind of life. Prince, you have to drive, sir. You got to take turns. Then you have Fisher, who's played by Noah Toth. He's kind of a dreamer. He doesn't really know what he wants to do with his life. He's kind of misguided. He doesn't really have any idea. Then you have Day, which is the girl. She's played by Akira Jackson. She has a degree, which isn't useful. It's in graphic design. Sorry, Prince. She's having a really hard time breaking into the field. And then you have James, who's played by Phineas Yoon. and he's very kind of like cold and standoffish, even though they're all friends. He's very standoffish. He's like, well, I'll probably get married, have a kid, relocate to another podunk town that's, like Milwaukee, he says, have a second kid who has a deformity, and have a marriage. And it's just like, well, that's very planned out there, James. It's very funny. But their conversations are very organic to me, and it felt very natural. Now, these are Gen Z people. This movie was written by a Gen Zer. It is directed by a Gen Zer. So, it is a Gen Z film. And anytime I thought something was a little cringe or was like a little odd, I just chalked it up to being Gen Z. Like, this is something they would do. Like, they talked in like memes sometimes. Like, they didn't do like 6-7, but they did other things that was like, ugh, something that I would be annoyed by otherwise. But I'm watching these young people in this film, so like it felt very part of the movie, I guess I should say. A Gen Z movie made for Gen Zers. But it wasn't anything like, oh my god, this is so stupid. But this conversations felt really good. Apparently this is based on a 1940s play or short story. This is like an updated version. But basically, you have to figure out your perseverance, right? You have to keep driving because you can only stay in one place for so long before the things from the woods come out. So you have to drive. You have to take turns driving, or is everybody one person going to drive? Remember, you don't get tired. You don't get sleepy. They can't sleep. They try to sleep, but they have a really hard time. So it's just kind of like, what motivates you to keep going? Like, there's no end in sight for this road. It's not a loop. It's all the same. It has turns and stuff. It's not just like a straightaway. And it's like forested they're in Florida. And you might not get this, but it's like it's kind of like pine barrens. Like we have pine barrens in New Jersey, where it's pine trees, you get a lot of pine needles in the ground, but the soil's kind of like sandy, rocky, so not a lot of like undergrowth can grow. So you have the trees, which are, like this thick mostly, bunch of pine needles, and then like little shrubberies that kind of jut out. It's not like a deciduous forest with moss and a lot of undergrowth and bushes, like all that. Yeah. Everything in Florida feels like an endless road. Yeah, they're in Florida. But it's very much an East Coast type of forest, because we have forests like that here. You can't drive through it because there's so many trees, but it's not like, fantasy forest. So, but they're driving, and what do? Do you take turns? Do you create a routine? Do you have plans? Because the day and night change too. It's like the days keep passing. So you can track how long you've been there. And they have like existential conversations about, like, why do you think we're here? Do you think we're dead? Is this the afterlife? Is this purgatory? Did somebody do something that we should be punished for? Like, is this punishment for us? Is this all of us in purgatory together, or is this just one of our purgatories? Like, what? They're just kind of spitballing ideas about it, and they kind of reveal stuff about the characters in these conversations, but for me, it's not enough, because they touch upon things that I feel like need way more depth. And you're not doing anything else other than driving in a car. You got time to talk about it. But I would really have liked to know more about why these characters are the way they are. Why is the one guy really aimless? Why is the other girl having trouble? Why is this guy so anally retentive about his future? Why is the other guy just kind of accepting the trash of his life. Like, why? And of course you can just say, oh, well, you're just supposed to think of that yourself, whatever. And it's like, because they have great dialogue, and I feel like you could have really had these conversations if you just put them in. The movie is only an hour and 30 minutes, which, again, like Leviticus, might be because it's a festival title. Because Leviticus was short like that because it had to be under an hour and a half to fit the festival circuit rules. So that might be the same thing for this. Don't quote me on that, but it could be. Yeah, witchcraft. There's witches in Florida, witches out there cackling with their 2 teeth out in the boonies. So they have no cell phone service either, but they do mention having chargers, and they do mention how they wish they would have downloaded more games on their phones. And they talk about music and how there's like a single song that they have, which is kind of weird. I mean, obviously you don't have cell service, you can't use Spotify or anything like that. But if I was in the car, guys, I have over 3,000 songs on my phone right here. So if I was in the car with you, you could have all kinds of music to listen to. Maybe not music you want to listen to, but there's probably at least a couple songs on there you would like. Well, Prince, as long as it doesn't require internet, as long as your game, like most of my games require internet, so that's on me. As long as your game doesn't, then you're good. I do have Solitaire, which would require internet to bring up my stats, but you can just start all over again and make your own stats on a local save. So, anyway. So they have to decide if they're going to persevere and keep driving. Now, as you can expect, some people want to, some people don't. And I'm not going to spoil that for you, but, you know, things happen, and it's a little too surface level for me. Because the characters who do give up, I don't feel like they explain why they give up enough. There's one in particular that I'm like, I want more explanation as to why this person felt like... Exactly, not everyone thinks or feels the same, which is true, and that's very obvious in the movie. But I want to know why this person feels this way. And they don't really explain it. Like, they're just kind of like, I don't want to do this anymore. And it's like, okay, I'm sure nobody wants to drive Infinity anymore. You're talking like years of driving. Okay? Like years. They show birthdays, like it's years. And that's the question, and that's the possible existential horror, is like, how motivated are you to keep going? But I feel like they didn't discuss enough about their reasonings for their actions to make it existential horror. Yeah. Yeah. Again, that's why it's a crazy movie. And it makes you think what you would do if you were in that situation, because that's a pretty crazy thing. I mean, these are all friends, so like, could you imagine being in a car with your friends driving forever? Like, would you be motivated to try to get to an end somewhere? Like, would you have the faith that there may be something at the end of this road if you just kept driving a million miles, if you would find something? Or would you just be so like, never mind, I'm just gonna, let me out here, I'm gonna go, you know, walk into the forest and die or something? Because you're not gonna starve. Remember that. Like, would you try to self-harm? Like, what would you do? Start reading my stuff. But to me, it just is not a horror movie. It's not. Like, that idea sounds horrifying, right? But it's more of a contemplative horror. And I feel like it's only horrifying because we are putting, our own beliefs into the movie. The movie isn't giving me horrifying. I'm giving it horrifying because I'm imagining what it would be like. I think I would keep going too. It would really just depend on who's there. I mean, even if it became just yourself, I feel like it would still be motivating. I don't know. There is quite a bit of humor, though, in the movie. I found myself laughing out loud. People were cracking up really heavily in this film. And there was funny stuff in there, I will say. I wasn't bored. It felt much longer than an hour and 29 minutes, if I'm being honest. But I think that is actually a good thing because it shows how the filmmaker, which is Alex Ullum, how he captured the monotony of this routine and the monotony of driving on this forest road forever. It's actually really nicely shot. There's a lot of, in-car shots, obviously, and I feel like it's not relying on like crazy close-ups or anything. It feels like you're in the car very well. There's some fun creative shots as well where people are in the car and like the day changes, time of day changes, and like the characters change into seats and stuff. Like it's visually engaging to me. I think it's really well made for a first movie because this is his first movie. Alex Ullum. And actually, this movie was picked up by Neon, and they already purchased his second movie as well, which is pretty exciting. Which I don't think was made. I do think it's well made. I mean, obviously, it's a very low budget film. I don't think. Did he even have a budget on this movie? No, they don't even have budget details on this movie. But I mean, it's mostly inside of a car and on a singular road. So the budget is going to be very low. And the characters only have a very limited wardrobe, right? Because they're in the car. I'm sure all the extras wore their own stuff. Like there's no sets. It's the inside of a car. Inside of a Jeep Cherokee, which is an SUV. I'm sure they shot on location for the one scene that was at an apartment complex, and then that was it. So, but visually though, it looked good. It didn't look like a cheap indie movie. It was very well shot. Let's see. The weird thing is, like, I did like it, but I didn't love it. Like, I could see why people think this is a terrible movie. The people behind me said this was the worst movie they've ever seen in their entire lives, which I always hate that sentiment, because, like, really? In your, like, decades of life, you never saw a movie worse than the one you just saw? But I could see where they're coming from, right? Because I do think some of the characters are underdeveloped. I mean, I'm sure a lot of us were disappointed that this was marketed as a horror movie. It's even labeled as a horror movie on IMDb. It's labeled as like horror, psychological thriller, drama, fantasy, sci-fi. Like, no, it's not those things. It could have been a more psychological horror if we were given more of the characters and given more reasoning and having more like heavier conversations about this situation. I mean, after driving hundreds of thousands of miles, you know, you're going to start to lose it in there. Okay? Because if you're driving 40 miles an hour, that's going to take you a very long time. So you're not sleeping, right? You're not eating. You don't have any urges to go to the bathroom. Like, you don't have the normal human things that you go through every day. So psychologically speaking and physiologically speaking, that's a big shock to your mind. Like, oh, I don't have to eat, or oh, I don't have to go to the bathroom, or oh, I don't have to do this. That's the thing. Like, I feel like I'd probably lose it too. I feel like I'd probably get annoyed with the other people. Exactly, that's the thing. They don't know if they're dead or not. And again, we could have had more existential, deeper conversations about that. They do talk about it, and I like they did talk about it, but I could have used more, and they could have talked about it throughout, right? You talk about it in the beginning, fantastic. You want to talk about it again a couple months later? That makes sense, because we've been driving for months, and nothing's changed. There are things that change on the drive in the movie. But I feel like they changed too late. I feel like all these changes happen at the end of the movie when it should have been happening sporadically throughout the film to motivate the characters more so they have these more conversations. Because like the weather is the same every single day. But later on in the movie, the weather is different. So if that would have happened earlier in the movie, then you could have had that whole existential conversation again. It was like, oh, it's just rain or something. Like, yeah, but that's never happened before. That could be a sign that we're getting close to something. But it's just rain. You know what I mean? Like, the characters could have engaged with these changes in a more existential conversation type of way. But instead, it happened all at the end. And it just felt like too much change at once, where the characters aren't able to digest it in a meaningful way to engage with the audience. Oh, 100% would depend who you're with. I don't know who I'd want to be stuck in a car with. Because even my friends, I feel like we would get on each other's nerves fairly quickly. Or they probably just give up. I don't know. Could you imagine if you're just meeting people for the first time and you get in a car with them and then this happens and you're with like complete strangers? There is no romance angle, which I did like. There's no weird romance stuff between the characters. So that's nice. It wasn't like a forced thing like that. You and Vetter. But this is the thing, I've never hung out with Vetter though. So that could be weird. Oops, sorry. And that might be rough for both of us, right? Because we've never actually met. We might be better online friends than real life friends. We might annoy the hell out of each other. Yeah, just the whole Discord. Just me, you, Vetter, and Mimi can all be in the car together. I just said that, and you wrote it. Or if Mimi doesn't want to go, we can bring AP. So, yeah, it's an interesting movie. And I think it's a great first effort. It's a visually engaging movie. I think it's an engaging idea. But I think that it's missing depth to really break it up or make it break out into a bigger, more engaging film that really tackles the existential type of things of horror. Yeah, I don't stream music, so you would have my music collection available to you. And because I know we're going on a road trip, I'd probably try to add more to it. So. You could listen to the Grandia soundtrack. I have that on my phone. I'll download the Power Rangers CD that I have and the Pokemon CD, so we can do a Pokemon rap while we're driving. Artcool Jinx, need to read them up? Yeah. Yeah, but it's a fine movie. And a lot of the reviews that I see that are praising it, I feel are adding their own stuff into the movie. They're adding the existential horror based upon what they think what would happen in the movie. And I mean, that's a sign of a good movie, that you can engage with it and put yourself into it and see angles that aren't in the film. But I think the fact that it's not in the film is what hurts it. Yeah. We'll just speak in Pokemon rap. Like, Haunter, Squirtle. You know? So, for a rating, like, I want to rate it higher, but it's like, I don't think I can, because there's just stuff in there that that doesn't exist, that I think the movie needs in order to really flourish. Like, if he were to remake this movie and with a bigger time, like runtime, then I think that it could work really well. But I'm not upset that I saw it. I'm upset that it's not a horror movie, because I was really hoping for an eerie horror movie, because it says on the poster, like, from the producers of The Backrooms. And I'm like, what? You know? Yeah, from the producer of Backrooms. A brilliant existential road thriller. Yeah, the director's cut. The director's uncut. Sorry. There's like noise outside. But yeah, so a rating, I'm probably going to give it between a 6 and a 6.5, if I'm being honest. Because I feel like if the characters were a bit more engaging and they had a bit more conversation, it would very easily be a 7, 7.5. I think it's just the theater people outside. I think it sure wasn't my grandma. Yeah. But I do look forward to seeing what other things this Alex Allum does. Because I did enjoy it enough to see more of his stuff. God, these kids are young. There's only 4 characters in the movie. And he was in Bad Teacher, about the TV series. When was he born? When were these people born? Like 2000? 2005? Something like that? Probably. You know kids these days. Oh, the one guy was cute. Phineas Yoon. Anyway, so that leaves us with our final movie, and probably the most perseverance one. It's going to be Hacksaw Ridge, which was directed by Mel Gibson, starring Andrew Garfield and Vince Vaughn, Sam Worthington, Milo Gibson, which is Mel Gibson's son. Hugo Weaving is in this movie. This is sitting at an 8.1 on IMDb. It was a highly successful film, $40 million budget, $180 million win. It was nominated for Best Picture. It won 2 Oscars for, I think, editing and sound direction. Well, Prince, I guess you can leave during this Oscar-winning film conversation, but okay. For Hacksaw Ridge. You're going to miss my analysis on Christianity. This movie is very much based in conversations about Christianity. At least the discs have pictures on them, but it's the same picture on both discs, which made it kind of hard to figure out which one was the DVD, which one was the Blu-ray. Well, that's fine, but we'll have to discuss the spoiler. You have to remind me what spoilers to tell you. It was what was in the woods at the end, and the twist in Your Name. So, Wilco can do. Yeah, you have to rewatch this part. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. So, Hacksaw Ridge. World War II American Army medic Desmond T. Doss, D-O-S-S, serving during the Battle of Okinawa, refuses to kill people and becomes the first man in American history to receive the Medal of Honor without firing a shot. Rated R. It's 2 hours and 19 minutes long. I didn't realize it was that long. I did the calculations wrong for math, for minutes. I think I was more focused because I knew this movie was going to be about perseverance that would fit into my theme. Goodbye, friends. This movie came out in 2016. November 4th. Dolby Atmos sound, which my TV uses. How nice. So Desmond Doss is what they call a conscientious objector to the war. So his religion makes him object to the war. But he decides to enlist anyway because, you know, he's from a small town in Virginia, and, you know, his brother enlists. His father's a veteran of World War I. His father is very messed up. Hugo Weaving is his father. His father is an alcoholic, abusive man. But Desmond decides to devote himself to religion after one day him and his brother are fighting. And his rage gets the best of him, and he hits his brother in the head with a brick. And almost kills him. Almost kills his brother. So from that day forward, he promises to never, you know, enact violence ever again. So he becomes a conscientious objector to the war. So he wants to serve as a combat medic, but he doesn't want to carry a gun. And he was told by the U.S. Army, you would not have to carry a gun. You are not required to. You're dumb to not do so, but you don't have to if you're going to be a combat medic. He meets a young lady, and this is very, you know, cheesy Hallmark. He meets her in the hospital because he helps somebody, and then he falls in love with her. He proposes to her like a week later, and then they're going to get married his first leave. And it's just like, I love you, Desmond Doss, and I love you. I don't even remember her name. It's a whirlwind romance that happens all the time during wartime. Dorothy Shoup, played by Teresa Palmer. She looked very familiar. I just couldn't figure out who she was. She was in Warm Bodies, Iron Number 4, Berlin Syndrome, The Get Out, The Fall Guy. I don't really recognize her though. Anyway. So the first thing I liked about this movie is that they show the Japanese war front. You know, a lot of World War II movies focus on the European front, you know, in Germany and France, that type of stuff. This is in Japan. Unfortunately, there's really nothing in this movie that tells you it's Japan or shows you that it's Japan, because you basically just see a war zone, and it's dirt, blown up trees, and fog. So there's nothing in here that screams Japan. You know, there's no. Occasionally, you'll see like a you know, a shrine thing, you know. But that's really it. That's the Japanese you'll see. So it's a little dull like that. But remember, this is only a $40 million movie. Okay, this is not a sweeping epic like Saving Private Ryan and stuff like that. But visually, the movie looks really good, even at that budget. And there are some issues now that spring up since this is a 10-year-old movie. You know, some of the stuff is very green screeny. Not like the worst green screening I've seen in my life or anything like that. But you could tell that it's a green screen sometimes where they're in front of stuff, which is a little disappointing because the lighting doesn't really match. And there is some CGI blood, which I'm not a fan of, but it doesn't look terrible. Because there is a lot of action, and there is a lot of gore. There is practical effects. There's intestines, things being blown off, like all that's in here. And it feels more in your face than Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan has tons of blood and gore in it as well, but Saving Private Ryan is very desaturated in color. And this movie is not as desaturated. It allows characters to have color in their skin. It allows us to see, you know, colors in people's clothing. Like, it's not as desaturated, which is good. Because I always complain about desaturated movies because it's done to show us the age. There is desaturation in it, don't get me wrong, but it's not as bad. And I do feel like they punched up the color of a lot of the physical blood as well, because sometimes it's very red. My lord. So how does this movie fit into our theme? How does Hacksaw Ridge fit into our theme? It should be fairly obvious. So Desmond gets a lot of pushback from his fellow soldiers and his sergeant about his conscientious objections. Now, they have no problem with his performance in the obstacle courses and his training and all that. He's doing a great job, standing out very well. But when it comes to rifle training, he doesn't do it, and he refuses to, which is within his right. He is allowed to refuse that in this technicality. But his superior officers, Vince Vaughn, and his superior officer, Sam Worthington, want him kicked out for mental health reasons. So they try to pressure the mental health doctor, the psychiatrist, to say that he's unfit to serve, to get him kicked out of basic training. And he refuses because he talks to him, and, you know, Desmond doesn't believe he's talking to God. He just believes he's talking at God. It's not a conversation. It's more of a declaration to God. So he doesn't think that God's answering him or anything like that. So very much, you know, it's just religion. So he stays in the military. And there's a lot of action. It's Hacksaw Ridge, which is a location that they named in Okinawa. Basically, it's a big sheer rock wall that has a cargo net going up it like 4 stories that you have to climb up, and then they fight up there where the Japanese are embedded. And it's kind of odd because it means all the soldiers have to climb up this 4-story high cargo net, and then when you bring the injured down, you got to bring them down that 4-story cargo net. So it's very odd. But the action is really heavy. It's really good. It's not afraid to show you. People are dying left and right. But the perseverance part is him persevering in his beliefs. So his bunkmates do not like his stance. So some of them beat him up in the middle of the night. So he's all bloodied, got like his blood eye and stuff. And he refuses to leave because he's there to serve the country, and that's what he wants. He ends up going to court, military court, which you know is corrupt. Not that regular court isn't corrupt too. But they're talking about court-martialing him because he's refusing to do it. And he's like, well, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do training for rifle training if I'm not going to shoot a gun. Because I am a conscientious objector, which is protected by Congress. It's protected by the Constitution, and it's protected by other court cases or whatever. So obviously he still gets away with it. Not away with it. It gets ruled in his favor, and he gets to serve. He ends up saving over 70 people in a single night by himself, lowering them down that cliff via rope. And his perseverance is what lets him keep doing that. He believes it's intervention, God's will that's helping him do that. Like he's asking God, just help me get one more, just help me get one more. And God doesn't speak to him or anything, but he keeps getting one more, until his body physically cannot take it anymore. Till the adrenaline runs out and he's done. It's a very inspirational story, and it's very powerful and such. And it's always disappointing when you get a good piece of art like this movie, and it's created by a terrible person like Mel Gibson. Because I'm sitting there and I'm enjoying this movie, and then in the back of my head it's like, this guy's a terrible human being. He said all these nasty things about these minorities. He's a MAGA idiot now, And it's just like, God. It's like, should I even be enjoying this movie? And I know that this movie, I looked up this movie, I was like, wait a second, is this movie like a Christian movie? Because it's streaming on Angel's platform, which is, the white supremacist fascist movie production company. And I looked it up to see if this was a Christian movie. And, it is being hailed as a Christian film. Which, in my opinion, it's not overtly Christian. If anything, it's overtly standing up for your rights as an American. Because Andrew Garfield's character, Desmond Doss, is being persecuted for his Christian beliefs. But he's being persecuted by other Christians. So it's Christian on Christian hate, which made me kind of chuckle because, Christians always talk about how they're being persecuted for their beliefs, but they're persecuting themselves in this movie. It's like cult versus cult. Like, no, I read the book and it means this way. Well, I read the book and it means this. And it's just this inbreeding, infighting of the same religion fighting with each other. And I think it's just an odd concept because I feel like Christians or MAGA Christians will watch this and be like, oh my God, that's how it is in America. That's how our religion is persecuted. And it's like literally all the characters persecuting him are Christians. Like they're the same religion. They even say so in the movie. They're like, I follow the good book too. But I don't understand your objection. This is wartime. We can kill people in wartime because it's war. The rules are different. You know, like, it's very in your face, which I find that to be very interesting. Because I feel like people kind of miss that aspect of the film. It's not like the atheist United States government is persecuting him. Because they're not. It's the very religious U.S. government that's persecuting him. I thought that was hilarious. Casting-wise, Andrew Garfield is good. He was nominated for an Oscar for this role. In the beginning, he's a little Forrest Gumpy, a little Gilbert Grape. He just seems kind of simple. Like, he meets Dorothy, and he's just like, I'm going to marry that girl. She don't know it yet, but we're going to be married. And I'm like, is he supposed to be talking like that? Is that acceptable for 2016? Like, is he supposed to be special? Like, what's going on? And I don't know if it's his accent, because, you know, he's not American, but he's doing a Southern accent. If it just came off that way, came off kind of goofy, but I thought it was interesting. But he did a good job. Hugo Weaving did a good job too, but I just felt Hugo Weaving's accent was weird, because he's not American, doing a Southern accent. And it feels more grumbly to kind of, I feel like he's trying to grumble to hide his accent. I didn't really notice his British accent coming through, but it just struck me as odd. Maybe because I just keep thinking of him as Agent Smith, or thinking of him as Guy Hawkes, or Guy Fawkes. Hawkes? I don't know. I've never seen Beef in Vendetta. Like, Hugo Weaving's not American, right? I'm not just making that up. He was born in Nigeria to English parents. But he gave a really good emotional performance. A lot of the other soldiers, they really throw a lot of soldiers at you. Like, this is Lucky, this is Teach, this is Hollywood, this is so-and-so, everybody has their own nickname. And it's kind of like, okay, I don't really care about these characters. Like, they just throw them at you, like 12 different soldiers. And then you see them later on, like, getting injured and stuff. It's like, I don't remember who that is. I mean, I know Hollywood because he's naked in the movie. And he looks distinct. But everybody else is kind of like, okay. It's just kind of a blur. Vince Vaughn as a sergeant, I gave him a chance. He was okay. He's still Vince Vaughn, though. Like, he's still cracking jokes at the expense of the privates. And it's just like, this is feeling a little too Vince Vaughn-y comedy to me. And I would really prefer if he was more of a straight-laced sergeant. Sam Worthington is, I feel like he's born to play military guy. Very standard performance. Sounded like Jake Sully. Not really impressive there, in my opinion. I'm talking about Hacksaw Ridge, kids. In case you forgot, we're talking about Hacksaw Ridge. But, it was Smitty Riker, played by Luke Bracey. He's much older. Much older. He's closer to my age. He's Australian. I mean, I guess Mel Gibson. Isn't Mel Gibson Australian too? Right? Mel Gibson's not American, right? No, he was born in New York. Why do I think he was Australian? Why is that? I think I'm thinking of somebody else. That I don't know. Anyway, Mel Gibson, terrible human being. So Luckily, he doesn't have a cameo, so he's not like in the movie. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, overall, the movie's enjoyable. I kind of wish I saw it in theaters. It's like when I watched Saving Private Ryan, I kind of wish I saw that. I mean, I did see Saving Private Ryan in theaters last year. Or was it this year? Regardless, I saw it in theaters in 4K. It was great experience. This would probably be a good experience in here too, though the visuals would be a little bit more lacking because this was a much smaller budget film. It is unfortunate that Mel Gibson directed this because Mel Gibson's a terrible human being, but I did watch it anyway, so am I supporting him? Am I also a terrible human being? I bought this years ago at Target and never watched it. So, it didn't save Target's physical media business, did it? Sure didn't. But anyway, let's give this Hacksaw Ridge a rating. Some of the stuff in there is a little on the nose. At the end, they show him being lowered down the mountain himself, and like the clouds part and the sun rays sprinkle down onto his face as if Jesus is caressing him. Like, it's very like, okay, we get it. You think he's a Seventh-day Adventist. I think that's what they're called. And it's like, ugh. I do think it fits our theme very well, the idea of perseverance. I do think it is funny showing Christian on Christian persecution. I think that's my favorite part of the movie, is how Christians are attacking Christians. Because that is religion in a nutshell. But as a movie and as a rating, I think I'm going to give it... I'm going to give it a 7.5. Because while it is enjoyable and the war aspects of it are really good, I do think some of the stuff building up to it is a little off. And some of the acting is also a little off. But I did enjoy it. And I would recommend it. Maybe not a date movie, but I do recommend it. And that's all 4 movies for our Perseverance. Were you able to stay here the whole time for this stream? I don't think you did. So you did not persevere as much as you should have. Sorry, I thought I saw a bug fly around now that I see the light. So let's review. Obviously, Hacksaw Ridge we just did. We said 7.5. We did A Wrinkle in Time, my first Disney movie review, aside from Marvel movies, which we're not going to count. I gave that a 6. Visually stunning. Story is a bit overstuffed and a bit underdeveloped at the same time. I did Your Name, the anime movie. Gave that between an 8, 8.5, possibly a 9. I really have to think about it a bit more, but definitely at least an 8, 8.5. And then our final movie, which was the Regal Mystery Movie this past Monday, is called It Ends, the directorial debut for Alex Ullum. About 4 friends stuck in a car on an endless highway, and I gave that between a 6 and a 6.5. I enjoyed the movie, but it really needed a lot more fleshing out for it to be an effective film to be considered horror. Because it's not a horror movie, it's labeled a horror movie, but it's not existential enough to be considered an existential horror movie, in my humble opinion. Like everything I've said here tonight, it's my humble opinion. You are more than welcome to disagree with me. Please tell me about it in the comments down below. And don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel because, well, you know, subscriptions are free. They cost you nothing. There is a hair in my eyebrow that is just bothering me. And it can only help the channel. So that's going to be it for tonight. I will be live tomorrow over on Twitch. Same name, Gremlin Lord 615. We're probably going to be playing some Battlefield, which I believe has a Top Gun crossover. I don't really care about Top Gun, to be honest. But I think it'd be interesting to see the new game mode that's in there. So, I'll see you there tomorrow. Thanks for watching here tonight. And, yeah, I'll see you next week for another YouTube Live. Thanks.